Chapter 24, Tayul. About a dozen others are waiting at the station, young men about me, traveling to Seoul. We all board the train. Most of the others put their bags on the floor. Not me. I hold mine on my lap. I want it close to me, my things from home. Not much really. Change of clothes, a lunchbox. Somehow I'm only got some rice, just a handful. And all of it for me, plus kimchi and beans. I can hardly believe I'll be eating rice again. Son, he gave me a little envelope when I left the house. I'd open it on the train. Inside there's a piece of paper folded around a pressed flower. A rose of Sharon blossom. It's dried, so she must have had it for a while. It was nice of her, but it worries me. Our bags will be inspected for sure, either on the trip or once we arrive. Maybe the inspectors won't know what it is, but I can't risk that. I can't risk anything that might make them send me home. I could keep it in my pocket, but they'll probably take our clothes too when they give us uniforms. I crumbled the flower in my fist, then I open my hand and blow the little pink pieces away. It's okay, son, I say to myself. I don't need the flower. I'll remember without it. The training camp's outside Seoul. There are barracks, some other buildings, huge fields. We line up to register. We have to sign both our names, Japanese and Korean. Japanese because we're citizens of the empire, Korean so that they can keep track of us, of the ones who aren't really Japanese. Haircut, uniform, a kit bag for each of us with the second uniform inside. Everything gets done military style. No fussing, quick, efficient. But there's still time to think. Like during the haircut. The Japanese had cut grandfather's hair. Now they're cutting mine. The same thing, so many years apart, but different. He was forced to have his hair cut. I volunteered. The kit bag is patched, like Sunhee's clothes. My clothes were patched too. But it only bothered me to see hers. Maybe because she's a girl. Girls care about more like things like that. The patches didn't mean the bag was used before by another soldier. For the first time, I think about what that really means to be in the Army. Whoever owned the bag before me might have been wounded and sent home, or discharged for some other reason, or killed in the war. His kit bag reissued to me. A lucky kit bag, or an unlucky one? No use thinking of it as unlucky. I decide to think of it as my lucky kit bag. We line up again outside the main building to listen to the camp's commanding officer. It's the usual speech about the divinity of the emperor and the glory of his empire, and a lot of stuff about discipline, hard work, and the need for soldiers to be worthy of the imperial uniform. Finally, the commanding officer steps aside. One of the sergeant responsible for new recruits takes his place. Your barrack is 2 kilometers away, he barks. You will go there now, running in lockstep. You will put away your gear in perfect order and report for dinner at exactly 1800 hours. Back here at the mess hall. Dismissed. We all salute. The fellow next to me has a watch. 1800 hours, he mutters. That's less than 30 minutes. We better get moving. On our way, we pass a lot of barracks. Soldiers are lined up outside or coming or going. Our barracks is the farthest away from the mess hall, the very last building for the newest recruits. The next few weeks are a blur. I'm always tired. So tired I can hardly think. Revel for 30 hours. Dress and straighten the barracks. Line up outside for roll call. Run to the mess hall. Breakfast. Then our orders for the day. We still attend classes every morning for an hour and a half. We have to study the Emperor's military code of honor, the imperial rescript to soldiers and sailors, memorize it, recite it back to the sergeants. There are other lessons too, how to take apart a gun, clean it, put it back together. It's easy enough in a big room where we have our lessons, but then we have to do it outside, in the rain, in a muddy ditch, at night. Lunch. The food isn't very good, but at least there's more than home. Usually barley, a little dried fish, vegetables, or pickles. In the afternoon, we have physical training, endless calisthenics, running for hours with rocks in our kit bags. Uphill, always uphill. How can there be so much uphill with no downhill? Obstacle courses with our kit bags. Then the same again with the bags, and you have to try to beat your first time. If you don't, you have to run it again. Back to the barracks. Clean up, put our stuff away, get ready for dinner. Run back to the mess hall. After dinner, sometimes more training, or a lecture from the officers about military history and strategy. Trying hard to stay awake. Back to the barracks for the last time. Laundry, the last duty of the day. Washing out that day's uniform, hanging it up to dry. Taking the other uniform, hung up from the day before, brushing it, sewing loose buttons, darning any holes. Everything ready for the next morning. and finally collapsing into bed, but not falling asleep, because most nights the sergeants roused us out of bed again to stand outside in nothing but our underwear and recite the Imperial Rescript, pages and pages long. No use trying to fake it. The sergeants walk up and down our ranks, listening to each one of us. The soldier and the sailor should consider loyalty the paramount duty. Remember, always, that duty is heavier than a mountain, while death is lighter than a feather. The whole thing takes about 20 minutes to recite. For the first time in my life, I'm glad of Dewey as a scholar, that I had his reputation to live up to. I never did, of course, but if I hadn't had to try even a little, it wouldn't have been able to memorize all this stuff. If you mumble or try to skip over parts you don't know, you're in trouble. One of the sergeants always carries a whip with him. The others keep a club handy. One crack of the whip and your back is bleeding. One whack of the club and your buttocks turns to nothing but pain. Cry out or fall down and you hit some more. The first time this happens, it's a recruit behind me. He says the wrong words, or maybe he doesn't say the right ones loud enough. The whip cracks. We all stop reciting. The guy falls to his knees, and the sergeant is coiling the whip for another lash. He sees us watching, and his face goes purple. "What are you doing?" he screams at us. "Do you want some of this too?" Immediately, we face front and continue with the recitation. Behind me, I hear the whip crack again and cry like a dog's yelp. Another crack, another cry. "Shut up," I'm begging the guy in my head. "Shut up. If you'll cry, he'll whip you again." One more crack and then silence. We're dismissed and warned not to touch the guy. So we leave him as he is, curled up on the ground, a dark stain spreading on the back of his shirt. We're punished for everything, the smallest things. We clean up the barracks. An ashtray is right in the middle of the table. Somebody gets hit. We do calisthenics and don't finish exactly together. Somebody gets hit. Guys walk around with black eyes, gaps in their mouths from lost teeth, scars on their backs, bruises on their legs. The whipper tells us that cruelty is necessary, that if we can put up with it, the ones that get through the training will be tough enough for anything the enemy does. Not everybody makes it through. In the first months, 4 guys get sent home in disgrace. Their lives are worthless now. Back home, the Japanese will treat them like garbage, a shame to themselves and worse to their families. Not me. I'm not going home that way. Uncle will have me make it through, and I will too. I think about the 2 soldiers who took my bicycle, the officers who had Sunhee's diary burned, the ones who wanted my help to trap Uncle, the faceless ones who beat him up, and the others who might be hunting him down even now. I'll never let them win.